A developer from your team has configured the load balancer to route traffic equally between instances or across AZs. However, the elastic load balancer routes more traffic to one instance or availability zone than the others. Why is this happening and how can it be fixed? Select 2. There could be a short-lived TCP connections between clients and instances. After you disable an availability zone, the targets in that availability zone remain registered with the load balancer, thereby receiving random bursts of traffic. For application load balancers, cross-zone load balancing is disabled by default. Instances of a specific capacity type aren't equally distributed across availability zones. Sticky sessions are enabled for the load balancer. Okay, instances of a specific capacity type aren't equally distributed across availability zones. Okay, and sticky sessions are enabled for the load balancer. And I have an example of how an instance could be larger. Okay, I think I get that. You were assigned as the new project lead for a web application that processes orders for customers. You want to integrate event-driven processing anytime data is modified or deleted, and use a serverless approach using AWS Lambda for processing stream events. Which of the following databases should you choose from? RDS, Elasticache, DynamoDB, Kinesis. DynamoDB. A development team uses the AWS SDK for Java to maintain an application that stores data in DynamoDB. The application makes use of scan operations to return several items from a 25 gigabyte table. There's no possibility of creating indexes to retrieve these items predictably. Developers are trying to get these specific rows from DynamoDB as fast as possible. Which of the following options can be used to improve the performance of the scan operation? Use a query, use a projection expression, use parallel scans, use a filter expression. Okay, use parallel scans. Parallel scans can divide up the table. Yep. And the scan operation reads every item in the table, regardless, okay, of any. And then also about the filters, okay, filter expressions are applied after the initial query or scan criteria have been evaluated. Okay, and then they help further refine results. Okay, got it. A user has an IAM policy as an SQS policy that apply to his account. The IAM policy grants his account permission for the receive message action on example queue, whereas the SQS policy gives his account permission for the send message action on the same queue. Considering the permissions above, which of the following options are correct? The user can send a receive message request to example queue. The IAM policy allows this action. If you add a policy that denies the user access to all actions for the queue, the policy will override the other two policies and the user will not have access to example queue. If the user sends a send message request to example queue, the IAM policy will deny this action. Either the IAM policies or the SQS policy should be used to grant permissions. Both cannot be used together. Adding only an IAM policy to deny the user of all actions on the queue is not enough. The SQS policy should also explicitly deny all action. The user can send a receive message request to example queue. The IAM policy allows this action. If you add a policy that denies the user access to all actions for the queue, the policy will override the other two policies and the user will not have access to the example queue. That's it.